So again for 5th semester major students, and it is about Abul Fazal. And all of you are aware of the fact that who was Abul Fazal. He was one of the most important courtier of Akbar, and his famous book was Akbarnama. And you remember one thing that though Abul Fazl was elder than Akbar, but he was very much influenced by the administrative system of Akbar, his qualities, his sense of justice, his reasoning, his capacity, all these things actually put impact in the mind of Abul Fazl. And whatever he wrote about the qualities of the king or duties of the king, everything he has actually influenced by the activities of Akbar. So whatever he has written, it is in general term which may be followed by each and every king for the betterment of his subject. So what should be the qualities of a king? He first said that he is supreme authority, and he had received that authority none but from the God. That means God is willingly give the authority to the monarch, and he is the representative of God, and he is the supreme authority. No one can, everyone should have to follow his dictation, not dictation, everyone should have to follow what he is going to do for them. The second one is that as God is behind his God is there behind a king, so the blessing of God is always there, and for that reasons he is free from confrontation and injustice. Generally, a king who is the real representative of God, he is generally free from any kind of confrontation, any kind of what I can say that differences, and he is also free from injustice. That means he is a just person. Then he can justify what is truth. Actually, the king or monarch is the seeker of truth, and he can justify what is truth and what is not truth. And he not only he is not only a ruler who guide the material life of his subject, but along with that he was a role model for the spiritual development of his subjects. So remember here he said that the king is not only responsible for the material welfare of the people, but he is also equally responsible for their spiritual development. Then he is also he is also an example of universal peace and religious tolerance, because all of you are aware of the fact that Akbar introduced a new religion, or what I can say, the new ideas of Deen-e-Ilahi. That means he tried to bring all the good things of many religions and combine together, and he found a new religion that is known as Deen-e-Ilahi. So he is not a conservative person, and so he said that Abul Fazl said that whoever the king may be, he should have universal peace in mind, and he also followed the principle of religious tolerance. Then he was efficient enough to discharge his duty. As the prince or the monarch, he possesses many things which are noble qualities of his character, so it is very easier for him to run the administration of the country efficiently and for the betterment of the people. Then another qualities of king is that the willpower of the king should be very strong. If he is a man of weak personality, he cannot run the administration properly, and he always think about the welfare of the state. It is another quality of the king that he should always think about the welfare of the state and not of himself. And he should have to help the poor and needy people with utmost dedication and sincerity. So along with looking after all the subjects of his own kingdom, it is his special responsibility to look after the needs of the poor and needy people and try to help them as much as possible. Then the rule of ideal ruler is perfect and peaceful. If the ruler is an ideal person, if he is following the way of what I can say, that systematic way of what is good for the people, then he can able to establish an ideal state which is not only perfect but also peaceful one, because dissatisfaction is may not be there in the minds of his subject. And the utmost important quality in the ruler is justice. Justice is the most significant virtue of a ruler. He must have to know what is justice and what is injustice. So he must be a reasonable person so that he can judge what is right and what is wrong. And thus he should have to rule the country by following the path of justice. The king who followed the path of justice, he followed the path of reason, who is secular in his outlook, who treat all his subjects as his own children, that type of king can able to establish an ideal state in this material world. So this is about the qualities of the king. Now I will discuss about the duties of the king. So the duties of the king also, he is influenced by that of Akbar, and he said that the king must have to possess a good and wide soul. He should be a man of perfect soul, and he should think about the welfare of his subject. The main aim of the king is to think about the welfare of the subject and not about the welfare of himself or his own family. Then it is the responsibility of the king to satisfy the people and make them happy. Okay, if the king is in a position to satisfy the people and make them happy, automatically his happiness will increase. So the happiness of king lies in the fact that he should have to look after the happiness of his own subject. Then success of a state depends on the ruler. If the ruler is perfect, if he is a man of reason, if he is a selfless person, if he treat his own subject as his children, then automatically he can rule the country properly. So success of the state depends on the ruler, that means on the quality of the ruler. And there are three parts of administration, that is executive, legislature and judiciary. And it is the duty of the king to use these three wings of government in such a way so that he can fulfill the desire of the people. That means all the wings of the government which are controlled by him, that is the executive, legislature and the judiciary, this organ should act in such a way that ultimately all of these organs can fulfill the desire of the people. Then the king should have to follow the path of truth, or he should be a seeker of truth. And it is very much necessary for a king for self-introspection. He should have to find out whether he is doing right thing or wrong thing. He should have to evaluate himself, and king should rectify himself and take assistance from the Sufi saint. So if the king found that okay, some negative things are there in him, he is not following the rules and regulations properly, some loopholes are there, in that case he can seek or he can take the assistance and advice from Sufi saint, who will give him the proper advice. Then the prince should be a man who is following the principle of humanity, and he is also a man who is moved by ethical, and what I can say, that ethical prescription or morality. So what a king should be a man who followed the principle of humanity as well as morality. Then the relation among the king and the subject should be like father and son. It is the responsibility of the father to look after his son, and in return son will look after his father. So if the king is able to establish the relation with the subjects like his children, then he will get the assistance from his subjects when he need it. Then the sources of law. Sources of law is king. He is the sources of law. He will prepare the law. So as his order is the law of the land, thus he should be a perfect person, because he is making the laws for the whole country. And you remember one thing, that along with the leader of the material world, the king is also the leader of the spiritual world of his subjects. So he should not be a material person only. He should have to practice the spirituality, and if he should able to practice spirituality, if he follow the path of morality, then only he can become the guide of his subject in their spiritual life even. And he is the savior of mankind. Help the people to follow their own faith and tradition. Here you remember one thing, that Abul Fazal is also speaking about secularism. That means in a particular kingdom there may be people belonging to various traditions, various religion, various culture, etc. But it is the responsibility of the king to give them assurance that they can practice their own system of way without any hindrances. And prosperity of the king depends on the condition of the state treasury. That means the financial condition of the country should be strong enough. If the financial condition of the country is not strong enough, it is not possible for any king to rule the country properly. So that responsibility is also lies with the king to look after the financial condition of the country and try to maintain a stable financial administration in the country. So this is in nutshell about the duties of the king, and these are the qualities of the king. So thank you today. So